GTA 5 could have had casino minigames from day one, but Rockstar had different priorities during development. If you remember San Andreas, you'll know you could play blackjack and other casino games in Las Venturas. That same concept was originally planned for GTA 5. There was early talk about poker tables, slot machines, and even underground gambling dens. It would have fit perfectly with the game's vibe, especially in Vinewood or Sandy Shores. But those minigames were scrapped before release, reportedly to keep the single player focused on storytelling and pacing. Rockstar might have also wanted to save casino content for GTA Online, where they later introduced the Diamond Casino and Resort, complete with gambling and real money chips. Some leftover files still reference poker tables and minigame logic, hinting that these features were deep into development before getting the axe. GTA 5 almost leaned more into RPG territory, with character growth and stat building. But that idea didn't make it to the finish line. Inspired by San Andreas, Rockstar originally planned to bring back a detailed skill system for GTA 5. Things like stamina, driving, flying, strength, and even weapon proficiency were supposed to improve over time depending on your actions. There were even discussions of Franklin being able to level up faster in driving, or Trevor getting more bonuses for combat skills. But as development progressed, the team scaled it down into something much simpler. What we got was a basic skill bar for each character that barely affected gameplay, mostly there for flavor. Why? Because Rockstar didn't want the game to feel like it was forcing players to grind stats. They wanted everyone to enjoy the missions without worrying about leveling up. Still, traces of the RPG system remain. You can see it in how characters have different special abilities and slight stat differences, but the deeper mechanics were cut. It's a what-if that could have added replay value, but maybe also more micromanagement than most players wanted. Car tuning in GTA 5 is fun, but it was supposed to be way more intense. Think Midnight Club, but with guns. Rockstar originally considered implementing a deep, almost simulation-level vehicle customization system. We're talking engine tuning, nitrous systems, adjustable suspension, gear ratios, and more. This made sense considering Rockstar San Diego, creators of Midnight Club, was part of the dev team. The vision was to let players truly build their dream car, not just change rims or paint jobs. There were also early talks about custom decals, drag racing parts, and mods that would affect handling in subtle ways. Imagine tuning your car for drifting versus top speed versus durability in gunfights. But the system got cut back significantly. What we ended up with in Los Santos Customs is flashy and accessible, but not nearly as deep. Rockstar likely wanted to keep things simple and cinematic for most players, especially since GTA's audience is massive, not all hardcore gearheads. Believe it or not, GTA 5 almost had a reputation system, kind of like Mass Effect with drive-bys. During early development, Rockstar explored adding a morality or reputation system that would reflect the player's choices in the world. For example, killing innocent pedestrians or making brutal decisions in heists might lower your reputation, while helping people or avoiding chaos could improve it. NPCs would react differently, and even mission outcomes might shift slightly depending on your rep. Franklin, Trevor, and Michael would each have their own morality paths. Trevor's rep would mostly be low, while Michael could walk the line, and Franklin might have more flexibility to be good or bad, depending on your actions. The idea was to add weight to decisions and give players more role-playing freedom. But Rockstar ultimately scrapped it, worried that it clashed with the chaotic and open-ended spirit of GTA. After all, punishing players for having fun kinda defeats the point. Still, it would have been fascinating to see Los Santos evolve based on your behavior, like a living world reacting to how ruthless or merciful you are. Some small but cool character animations were cut before launch. These weren't game-breaking, but they added flavor and personality to the protagonists. Originally, Rockstar had planned unique idle and gesture animations for each main character. Trevor, for example, would occasionally flip the bird at random pedestrians. Franklin could flash a peace sign, while Michael had subtle movements like scratching his face or adjusting his clothes. These little touches were meant to make each character feel more alive and reflect their personalities even during downtime. There were also reports from early footage and dev leaks showing characters reacting more naturally to their environment, like stretching after sleeping or making more contextual comments. Some of these were likely scrapped to reduce unnecessary animation data or streamline the engine. Chop wasn't supposed to be the only animal companion. GTA 5 almost gave each protagonist their own pet. Early in development, Rockstar had ambitious plans for animals in the game. Chop was just the beginning. Concept art and internal discussions hinted at other pets too. Michael was considered to have a house cat, while Franklin could have had a second dog or even exotic pets like reptiles. Trevor? Fans speculated he might have had something chaotic, maybe a wild coyote or a mean rooster. These animals weren't just for show. They were meant to be interactive companions, reacting to events, following the player, or even assisting during missions. Chop has some of this, with his ability to sniff out enemies or ride in cars, but that's as far as it went. The feature was likely scrapped due to technical complexity and focus. Managing AI companions across 3 playable characters, all with unique personalities and storylines, probably proved too much. Still, the idea of Franklin walking through Los Santos with 2 dogs or Trevor being followed by a wild pig, that would have been unforgettable. GTA almost got serious with the law, like courtroom drama serious. Instead of just getting wasted or busted, Rockstar once considered adding a full justice system. The idea was that if you got arrested, you wouldn't just lose some cash and respawn, you'd face consequences. Early design documents mentioned different outcomes depending on how you got caught. Minor offenses could lead to fines or probation, while violent crimes might land you in court. There was talk of public defenders, different jail experiences for each character, and even corrupt law enforcement storylines. It would have added a whole new layer of realism to the world. Ultimately, Rockstar dropped the system to keep gameplay flowing fast and fun. Trials and jail time might have slowed things down too much. Plus, in a game where causing chaos is part of the fun, getting punished realistically might not appeal to everyone. You've probably noticed, the Rockstar Editor on console doesn't do everything it used to. Originally introduced on PC, the Rockstar Editor let players record, edit, and direct their own GTA 5 videos. It was later brought to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but over time some features quietly disappeared or were never added in the first place. In the newer console versions, several tools like depth of field control, audio overlays, or advanced camera movement were either scaled back or removed entirely. For example, players used to manipulate camera paths freely with smooth transitions. Now, certain versions lock those tools or limit how many keyframes you can place. Audio mixing options were also removed in some patches, and there's no support for importing music or advanced filters on console. Why the downgrade? Rockstar never gave a full explanation, but it's likely due to performance issues, memory limits, or shifting priorities to GTA Online. As updates focused more on multiplayer content, the editor quietly took a back seat. For players who loved making cinematic masterpieces in Los Santos, it's a frustrating loss. Many now turn to PC for the full editing experience, or mod the game to restore missing functions. Yes, Rockstar considered bringing back the fat meter. And no, it never made it past the planning phase. If you played San Andreas, you'll remember CJ could gain or lose weight depending on how much he ate or worked out. GTA 5 almost brought that back, but with a modern twist. The plan was to make each character react differently to food, inactivity, or fitness routines. Franklin could bulk up at the gym or lose stamina if he ate too many burgers. Trevor's drug use and bad habits might visibly affect his body, and Michael's lifestyle could lead to a noticeable gut if he skipped workouts. There were even discussions of special dialogue or mission reactions if your character got too heavy or out of shape. But the system was scrapped early. Rockstar figured it didn't add enough to justify the work. They wanted to focus on cinematic consistency and didn't want cutscenes to look different for every player depending on how much junk food they ate. At one point, players could hop on a train and actually control it. Not anymore. In early builds and dev footage, trains weren't just moving props, they were interactive vehicles. Players could enter the train interior, walk between cars, and even take over the engine. There were mechanics for speeding up, stopping, and even crashing the train in dramatic fashion. Some missions reportedly used these mechanics, including chase scenes or robberies involving cargo trains. The goal was to expand how players interacted with the world, not just cars and helicopters, but big, heavy, cinematic set pieces like trains. Why was it removed? Possibly for stability reasons. Controlling trains might have caused all kinds of physics and AI issues. Also, Rockstar might have worried about breaking scripted missions if players derailed trains at random. In the final version, trains are indestructible and non-controllable, though mods later unlock the ability to pilot them. The BAWSAQ could have been so much more, but the full vision never came to life. When Rockstar announced GTA 5's in-game stock market, fans were hyped. The idea was that your actions would impact companies, and the world would respond. Blow up a tech store, expect the rival's stock to rise. Crash a Cluck and Bell truck, Burger Shot would benefit. The game even teased real-time updates through the social club. But in the final version, the stock market is mostly scripted. It only reacts during a few assassination missions, where Lester tells you exactly how to manipulate the market for max profit. Outside of that, it's static and barely interactive. Why the downgrade? Probably due to the complexity of syncing a live, dynamic economy, especially across offline and online modes. Rockstar may have intended to tie BAWSAQ updates to global player behavior, but it was either too ambitious or scrapped when GTA Online took priority. Still, it's a missed opportunity. A fully reactive economy could have made Los Santos feel truly alive. Instead, it's more like a background detail than a real system. Ever notice certain weapons just vanish from the store? That's no glitch, it's intentional. Over the years, Rockstar has removed or hidden various weapons from Ammu-Nation, especially in GTA Online. One of the most famous cases was the explosive sniper rifle. It was available for a while, then quietly removed from shelves. Same with the Up and Atomizer, certain MK2 weapons or specialty items like fireworks launchers outside of seasonal events. Why? Mostly for balancing. Some of these weapons were insanely overpowered, especially in PvP lobbies. Rockstar responded by either hiding them, limiting when they're available, or moving them to special sections like the gun van, a rotating inventory vendor added later in online. In some cases, players who already owned the weapon got to keep it, but new players had no way to buy it again. These quiet removals often caused confusion in the community, with players asking, "Where did my gun go?" or "Why can't I buy this anymore?" Rockstar usually doesn't announce the changes, they just happen, with updates. Yup, GTA 5 almost let you play the story with a friend. Split-screen heists? That was the plan. During early development, Rockstar explored a co-op version of the single-player campaign. The idea was to let two players control Michael and Franklin, or any pair from the trio, and tackle missions together, either online or even locally with split-screen. Heists, car chases, and shootouts would have had real-time teamwork, and the game would adapt based on how players coordinated. This co-op mode was tested in internal builds, and some developers even mentioned that early mission designs were made with co-op in mind. One person could drive, while the other shot from the passenger seat, or you could split up to flank enemies during shootouts. So what happened? GTA Online happened. Rockstar decided to separate the multiplayer and focus on building an entirely new online world, full of heists, businesses, and chaos. They figured that co-op fun could live better in the online space, and the story mode would stay single-player and cinematic. Still, the thought of robbing banks with your best friend in story mode? That would have been unforgettable. You were almost able to give Michael a face tattoo and a mohawk, no joke. Rockstar originally planned to give players deep body customization options beyond just clothing. This meant full control over haircuts, facial features, tattoos, and even plastic surgery. Franklin could have rocked braids, Trevor could get a giant snake tattoo across his chest, and Michael? Maybe a facelift or a ridiculous beard. Some of this made it into the final game. There are barber shops and tattoo parlors, but the options are pretty tame. No dramatic body changes, no facial editing, and definitely no extreme looks. Why the cutback? The team wanted to keep the characters consistent during cutscenes. If you gave Michael a neon green mohawk, it might break the tone of an emotional scene with his family. Still, it's a bummer. The freedom to make your version of each character unique was sacrificed for story cohesion. You can see how the idea evolved into GTA Online, where you have full control over your avatar's look, including some truly wild customization. It's one of those features that clearly got redirected into the multiplayer experience, leaving story mode looking sharp, but a little less personal. Time travel in GTA? Not quite, but it came close. At one point, Rockstar toyed with the idea of using flashbacks or alternate timelines in the story. There were early missions that took place in the past, like the North Yankton bank heist, and devs reportedly wanted to expand that concept. Players would see Trevor's time in the military, Michael's younger years as a thief, and even Franklin's earlier life before meeting the crew. These missions would have acted like playable flashbacks, adding depth to each character's backstory. You might have played as a young Trevor in a war zone or seen Franklin's first encounter with gangs in South Los Santos. There was even some chatter about alternate outcomes of certain story events, kind of like what-if scenarios or dream sequences. Why did it get scrapped? It probably overcomplicated the narrative. GTA 5 already had a tricky structure with 3 protagonists. Throwing in multiple timelines might have confused players or bloated the game too much. Still, the idea lives on in mods and in players' imaginations. A full playable flashback of Michael's criminal past or Trevor's military breakdown. That would have added a whole new layer to the story. You almost got to sneak around like Sam Fisher in Los Santos. Early builds of GTA 5 had a much more complex stealth system. Rockstar wanted to let players crouch, hide in shadows, silently take out enemies, and even use gadgets for stealth missions. Think Splinter Cell meets GTA. Missions would have multiple ways to complete them. Go loud or go stealth. Michael was especially meant to lean into this mechanic, reflecting his professional criminal background. He'd silently breach houses, disable alarms, or sneak into restricted areas with suppressed weapons. There were also animations for takedowns, dragging bodies, and hiding behind cover in more dynamic ways. But this system was only partially implemented. What we got was a light stealth mechanic, crouch walking, suppressed guns, and the occasional silent takedown. The rest was either simplified or cut completely, possibly due to technical limitations or pacing issues. Still, some missions, like the jewelry store heist, hint at what could have been, and modders have tried to revive this system with great results. GTA Online used to shower you with gifts. Now, not so much. Back in the early days of GTA Online, Rockstar regularly handed out generous daily and weekly rewards. Login bonuses, millions in compensation, and free cars were common, especially after major bugs or server downtime. During special events, players could earn double or triple rewards on missions, and the discounts were huge. Fast forward to recent years, and those rewards have been noticeably reduced. Login bonuses are often cosmetic items or small cash drops. Weekly discounts are more limited, and double money is usually tied to niche modes instead of popular missions. Some longtime players joke that Rockstar has tightened the wallet. Why the change? Likely a mix of reasons. With the game still making big money from shark cards, Rockstar may want players to grind more. Plus, newer updates are often more balanced, so they don't need to bribe players with big cash dumps like in the past. Los Santos wasn't supposed to be the only map. You were almost packing your bags for Liberty City. One of the most exciting ideas Rockstar had early on was the ability to travel between different cities, specifically between Los Santos and Liberty City. Dev leaks and leftover code suggest that at some point, planes weren't just cosmetic. They were meant to take you to entirely new areas. Some sources claimed there was a plan to reuse parts of the Liberty City map from GTA 4, adapted to work within GTA 5's engine. You'd buy a plane ticket, land at the airport, and explore a smaller, more focused version of Liberty City, maybe for story missions or just as a bonus sandbox. It's unclear how far along this feature got. It may have been an ambitious early idea that was quickly shelved due to storage limits, development time, or the focus shifting to GTA Online. Still, the idea lives on in modding. Players have merged maps from multiple games into a single experience, something Rockstar once considered doing natively. If Los Santos feels emptier in GTA Online, that's not your imagination, it's by design. When you switch from story mode to online, one of the first things players notice is how dead the streets feel. Fewer cars, fewer pedestrians, fewer random events. This was a conscious choice by Rockstar to help the servers handle dozens of players at once. More room, less lag. In story mode, the game engine only has to deal with your character and the world, but in online, it's managing 30+ players, each driving fast cars, shooting rockets, calling in jets, and summoning tanks. To keep things running smoothly, Rockstar reduced background activity like traffic flow, pedestrians, and ambient events. This has pros and cons. On one hand, it helps reduce crashes and improves frame rate. On the other hand, it makes Los Santos feel less alive. Some players even use mods on PC to boost population back to story mode levels in private lobbies. So next time you wonder why downtown looks like a ghost town online, now you know. It's a performance trade-off. You can see them, you can even walk up to them, but you can't go inside. Why? Cluck and Bell and Burger Shot are iconic fast food joints in the GTA universe. They've been fully explorable in previous games like San Andreas and GTA 4, so it's no surprise that fans expected to enter them again in GTA 5. The buildings are there, the signs light up, and they look ready for business, but the doors are locked. Turns out, Rockstar built detailed exteriors for these locations, but the interiors were never implemented. There are hints in the game's files that interior models were considered, and some modders have even restored them using leftover assets or fan-made creations. Why were they removed? Most likely to streamline the world and keep players focused on the main missions. Including full interiors for every restaurant might have added too much development time for not enough payoff, especially since there's no food or hunger system in this game. There was a time when Mission Passed didn't always sound the same. In the final game, every completed mission plays the same iconic Mission Passed jingle, but early builds of GTA 5 included multiple musical themes, each tailored to the tone of the mission. A dramatic heist might end with a gritty synth track, while a wacky Trevor mission might wrap up with a distorted guitar riff. These alternate Mission Passed stings were found in the game's files, along with unused audio cues and variations that suggest Rockstar played around with giving missions more personality, even in the final few seconds. So why cut them? Probably for consistency. The final jingle is recognizable, clean, and satisfying. Plus, it helps players instantly know they're done, regardless of the mission type. But still, it's a small touch that could have made missions feel more cinematic and unique. Fans have restored some of these deleted tracks using mods, and others have created custom Mission Passed remixes just for fun. Believe it or not, Los Santos used to have a lot more trees. Beta versions of GTA 5 featured thicker forests, denser countryside, and way more vegetation, especially around areas like Mount Chiliad, Paleto Bay, and the Vinewood Hills. This was visible in early gameplay previews, trailers, and leaked dev screenshots. Some areas looked almost unrecognizable compared to the final version. Why the change? Most likely it came down to performance. All those extra trees created more shadows, more rendering work, and more potential lag, especially on the PS3 and Xbox 360. To make the world run smoothly on those older consoles, Rockstar had to trim back the greenery. The change was subtle but noticeable to eagle-eyed players. The landscape still looks great, but those lush early builds had a slightly more immersive, natural vibe. On PC, mods have tried to restore that lost foliage, with mixed results. Some players use beta vegetation mods to bring back that early forest look, though it can be heavy on performance. There was almost a version of the story where Franklin doesn't make it. In the final game, players choose between killing Trevor, Michael, or taking the famous wish option that saves everyone. But data miners found traces of an alternate ending where Franklin himself dies, either as a result of betrayal or as part of a fourth option that never made it to release. This potential ending might have explored the darker consequences of Franklin's loyalty to both sides. Imagine a scene where Michael and Trevor, unable to trust each other, agree to remove the new guy, or maybe Franklin sacrifices himself to save both of them, completing the story with a tragic twist. There's even cut dialogue suggesting scenarios where Franklin is hunted down or taken out by corrupt agents. None of it was finished, but the bones are there. lines in the code, cutscene triggers, and alternate mission names. Rockstar likely cut this path because it didn't feel right to punish players who identified most with Franklin, the character many saw as the game's moral compass. Still, the idea of any of the trio adds weight to every choice and shows just how many directions the story could have gone. Franklin's death wasn't the only unused twist. There were more alternate endings planned. While the final game lets you choose between 3 outcomes, Rockstar considered adding even more branching endings. According to leaks and early script references, there were drafts where Michael and Trevor could both survive, but split ways permanently, or where one betrays the other mid-mission, resulting in a surprise death. Some storyboards even mention endings where Devin Weston escapes and gets revenge later. Developers originally wanted the final choice to feel heavier and more unpredictable. There was talk about different consequences depending on how you played the story. Did you favor one character? Did you complete certain side missions? These factors might have affected which options were available. In the end, Rockstar went with 3 clear choices to keep the structure solid and cinematic. Still, fans have imagined dozens of what-if scenarios, and mods have even created new endings using cut content and custom scripts. Single-player DLC was definitely in the works. Rockstar planned it and even started developing it, but in the end, they decided to cancel it. Right after GTA 5's release, Rockstar teased story expansions starring the main characters. There were strong rumors about a Trevor in the Military DLC, a possible zombie outbreak similar to Undead Nightmare, and even a follow-up where Michael deals with his crumbling family after the story ends. Voice actor Ned Luke, Michael, confirmed he recorded new lines for an unreleased DLC, and Sean Fontino, Franklin, hinted at more story content being worked on. The game files also include references to new interiors, cutscenes, and even phone calls between characters that never appear in the base game. So what happened? GTA Online blew up. Rockstar shifted nearly all its resources to supporting the online mode, which became a money-making machine. The planned single-player expansions were quietly shelved, despite strong demand. Fans still bring this up constantly. A proper story DLC could have added so much more to the already rich world, and while online kept growing, many players still miss the deep, narrative-driven content that Rockstar is known for. The UI you know today wasn't always the plan. Early builds of GTA 5 featured a very different HUD. Screenshots and debug footage show an interface that was bulkier, more colorful, and somewhat more stylized. The weapon wheel was more like a neon dial, and the mini-map had different icons and a more gradient-heavy design. Some testers even used a classic San Andreas-style health and armor bar during development. The wanted level stars were positioned differently, and there were also different indicators for stealth and notoriety, probably leftover from the scrapped reputation system. Menus were slower and more detailed, reflecting the RPG elements the game originally leaned toward. As development continued, Rockstar streamlined everything for a cleaner, cinematic feel. The final UI is slick, minimal, and built to keep players immersed, but some fans still love that early, rougher look. A few mods even restore parts of the beta HUD, giving players a taste of how GTA 5 almost looked. You were supposed to have more ways to rob people blind. The heist missions in GTA 5 were one of its most praised features. Plan a job, choose an approach, pick your crew. But believe it or not, there were supposed to be even more choices, and some of them were fully mapped out before being cut. For example, the FIB building heist originally had 3 possible approaches, not 2. A third option involved impersonating janitors and placing bombs from inside over several days. Another mission had a version where you could cause a distraction across town to pull police away from your real target. Some of this still exists in unused audio and map markers buried in the game files. Other heists were trimmed down entirely, like a planned job at a jewelry expo in downtown LS, or a casino robbery that later got recycled into GTA Online. These were cut for time, complexity, or performance reasons. Still, it's fun to imagine the possibilities. GTA 5 already gives players some flexibility, but more heist variants could have made each playthrough feel completely different.